I guess we're good to go. We are good to go. Welcome everybody to the June meeting of the IDA and BDC. And we're going to start with the IDA, and I will make a motion to approve the minutes. They look good to me. Is there a second? Second. Motion made and seconded. Any deletions, additions? None. And all those in favor say aye. Aye. Minutes carried. Thank you. We're going to start with minutes from the public hearing on Cortlandville LLC, and we have some statement or some pages submitted by Vic Siegel, who behind me. I will let you talk to that in a minute, Victor, but I took the opportunity this weekend. My brother-in-law is a vice president with a major energy company, and for his first 12 years he worked at 9 Mile 2. So he's very knowledgeable about electrical creation, transmission, storage, like that. And what he told me was that we're a ways from, he said, it's a good idea. What Victor's saying is a good idea. But he said, we are quite a ways from having efficient and, more than that, reliable battery storage. And that he said, if you were to hold up a project for that, he said, you could be a couple years. So I just thought I would go to somebody who knows, because I don't know, but that was the response that I got from someone who lived this business all his life. So with that, do you have comments? Sure. So, sure, here.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, just for the record, I want to be sure that the public hearing was open and it was closed on the day it was held. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so we're just asking Victor to provide.
Yeah, Victor, over here. This way. So I guess for that matter, Vic, because we have your, I don't mean to be disparaging, but with your manifesto.
Understand.
So you'd just be brief, I would.
That's a flattering word. So anyway, the question of, it's a very interesting question as to when is a technology appropriate to use. So 10 years ago, Bill Gates put flat panel TVs in his house, and I went, ooh, that's inconceivable. Now they're $250 at Walmart, and everybody has them. The battery storage is important for two reasons. One, without battery storage, as I've said over and over again, this project is just useless. And I explain all the reasons in excruciating detail. Put battery storage in, and it becomes useful. So we are now spending millions of dollars on something useless because we have 92% carbon-free energy here, and adding solar won't improve that number because the non-carbon energy is when solar doesn't work. So, first of all, timing of what I started with, timing of technology. Right now, batteries use lithium-ion batteries. I would not recommend lithium-ion batteries. I would simply say wait the short time until the technology is ripe. And the example is electric vehicles. Right now, the government has this great push on electric vehicles. In Cortland County, I wouldn't buy an electric vehicle. But in 2027 or 2028, all the technologies being spent, billions of dollars kick in, and you'll get 600-mile range at half the price of today's battery with total safety. So when somebody asks, should they buy an electric vehicle, I say you wait till 2027 or 2028, and you will be very happy then. Likewise, there are whole generations coming in of storage batteries long-term for utilities. The most well-known happens to be literally down the street from where my daughter lives outside of Boston, called Form Energy. They make pallet-sized batteries that consist of inexpensive iron pellets. They rust pellets to store the energy, and they de-rust it to retrieve the energy. Totally long-term, totally cheap, totally safe. And so what you do is you look at Cortland County. We have to think forward, as I've proposed many times, to 2040. 2030 is already gone. to 2040 and say, how can our county survive? And we're screwed. We have 2 assemblymen and 2 congressmen. That means we have no assemblymen and no congressmen. No one is looking out for Cortland County. If we don't do it ourselves, we will literally not have energy during the lifetime of our children. So all we do on all these solar projects, which I support 100%, I think I support them more than anybody else, but I just say wait until the technology is ripe, an incredibly short time from now, a blink of an eye. In fact, I looked, when I was on the BDC in 2011, I brought in a survey and I queried the members, what's going to happen to our energy future? Now it's 2024 and we have done 0. We have never even had a public forum sponsored by the planning department, the BDC, anybody about this. So all of my reasons are, that's the most important question you asked, by far the best question. And the answer is you wait the blink of an eye. You can give Kevin his rights to do it then when he comes back with energy storage, not lithium-ion batteries, and we will welcome him and it will help us. The final point is this article that I included, which is titled, Giant Batteries Are Transforming the Way the U.S. Uses Electricity. A couple weeks ago, the New York Times published an 11-page article about how California completely screwed itself. They put solar power every place, and they didn't have any battery storage. So their chart of a day's activity is filled with energy during the day when nobody needs it, and there's no energy at night. So as fast as possible, and they're using lithium ion because they screwed themselves so badly, as fast as possible, they are switching to store the energy during the day, use it at night when people come home. It's making an incredible difference. And you just read the article and say, let's do what California did. Let's someday do something right after doing everything wrong. I can discuss every point like that, but this is enough.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll answer questions too.
Can you elaborate on why not to use lithium-ion batteries?
Yeah, they catch fire. What happens is the anodes and the cathodes get dendrites. They puncture the separator, and that causes heating up, and then the whole thing burns up. It's a common, difficult problem. It's what happens with e-bikes in New York City, where apartment buildings burn down.
Okay, I'd like to ask Kevin to address the project and explain.
Certainly, thank you. So I listened to Mr. Siegel at greater length at the hearing and agreed with some of his concepts, but I don't believe I agree at all with his current direction. It is not useless. It's not a waste of time to create more solar generation facilities right now. Batteries are changing all of the time, but for this agency or the county to mandate that an entity that wants to invest in generation also invest in storage, I think is counterproductive. Not all companies have the same vision, so you're going to eliminate people that want to invest in Cortland County. And quite frankly, I think if that's the direction that anybody wants to take, there are agencies that spend all of their time in New York identifying our energy needs, the distribution of energy, like NYSERDA, like NYSO, and they're working very hard to address these issues in the near term and in the future. And I think the deliberation of how you should legislate development and how you should decide which type of generation or storage you want should be left to those that spend their full time doing it and not take that responsibility on yourself or take it on at the county legislative level either. I understand Mr. Siegel's ideas are wonderful, but they are a long way off. And in the meantime, there is absolutely no harm, and I don't agree at all with his concept of useless for creating more solar. To create more solar is fine, and it's the way we should go in the absence of wind or something else that is not polluting our environment. So, be glad to answer any questions about our project. I think you've heard about it in detail at the last meeting. You know, it's a very simple 5 megawatt solar project in which the town approved it. past seeker. I don't think there's any opposition to it that I'm aware of on a local basis. So I would advocate that you disregard Mr. Siegel's concepts today and move forward with inducing this project. Thank you.
Do you have questions for either of these gentlemen? I guess the other thing that to me is it's going to generate some tax dollars that parcel of land is currently paying almost nothing. So this is an opportunity for all of the townships that are, the township that's involved to gain some taxable or some tax income that they're currently not doing, because a piece of ground like that doesn't yield any. Trust me, there's so little, it might as well do nothing. So with that, thank you, gentlemen, for your input. If there are no other questions, then I will make a motion to approve a resolution finalizing the preliminary inducement for a certain commercial project for Cortlandville PV LLC. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion made and seconded. On the roll call, myself, yes. Stephen Compagni, absent. Cliff Brooks?
Yes.
Deb Hayden? She's away. She's away. Okay. Joanna Ames is in Chicago. Kathleen Burke?
Yes.
And Don Richards?
Yes.
Motion is passed. Thank you. Right, and now from there we go on to resolution. I will make the resolution authorizing the execution of documents in connection with a straight lease transaction for the commercial project for Cortlandville PV LLC. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, on the roll call. Myself voting yes. Stephen Compagni absent. Cliff Brooks?
Yes.
Deb Hayden absent. Joanne Ames absent. Kathleen Burke?
Yes.
Donald Richards?
Yes.
Motion is approved. Thank you. So, all right, from there we'll move on to application for SV Cortland 1 LLC. Where would you like to explain the project?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, good to meet you all. I'm Tori Hanna. I work with a company called Davis Hill Development. Sorry for the solar fatigue, another solar discussion here. I run business development and origination for the company. I'm a urban planner by trade, so land use geek or dork by trade. Just a quick history of the project, because it's the first time introducing it to members. We engaged the city of Cortland back in 2019. The rationale was following NYSERDA's, at the time, recent advertisement for incentive funds for putting renewable energy on brownfield land or contaminated land. So the city was interested in this, and that kind of kicked off literally a 2.5-year interconnection study to see if the Pendleton land, referred to as Rosen site, would be viable for solar. We found a transmission line, or it's called a sub-T line, sub-transmission line, that runs to the south of the property that actually had enough capacity to allow for us to inject 2.8 megawatts of solar, about half the size of the project that was just discussed, and leverage this brownfield incentive to build on top of it. So when we got that news back, we went to the city for a zone change to allow for ground-mounted solar to be allowed as a permittable use in the general industrial zone. Prior to that was not allowed. So we were able to amend zoning to allow this project. We then went in front of the planning board last year for a special use permit. Went to the county as well, and received land use approval in September timeframe last year. So we've been talking to the IDA for quite some time. We're introduced by Mr. Mayor in Cortland just to talk about the pilot process, the proper tax rate that we would receive. This is probably over 2 years ago we started this conversation. So we're finally here in front of members and are very excited to be here to kick off that discussion and hopeful approval. And this, the last piece is we've already started to procure equipment to hopefully kick off construction August, September timeframe. So that's a bit about the project, and happy to answer any questions. And one note, my colleague Tyler, I don't know if he's on the call, but he was dialing in. He's our head of finance, just in case there's any questions about the numbers that I couldn't answer.
516 area code?
I think it's
one person on.
There's only one.
Yeah, there's only one person on.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, I'm Tyler. I'm here. Any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thanks, Tyler. Patiently waiting.
Questions for Tori or Tyler?
Corey, could you touch on some of the interaction with local nonprofits and that sort of?
Absolutely. So the offtake of this project is designated as community solar, if you're familiar with that term. And it's just a mechanism that's been around for probably 10 years now in the state of New York and many other states, but allowing like off-site generations, like our system, to sell power to individuals or entities at a credit discount. So this project is unique because it's a specific type of offtake. It's called inclusive solar, and we actually get another incentive to do this, but we are targeting low-income individuals for the sale of these credits. So they continue to buy electricity from National Grid, the electric company, but they get a credit on every electric bill that they have each month. And the discount rate is about 10%. It hopefully is going to be even more than that, but it's targeting low-income individuals who meet a certain income threshold, are in a certain census tract. And so we've been working with the Cortland Housing Authority, Cortland Housing Alliance, and we're hoping to pair, and it may even broaden beyond the city of Cortland to any off-taker in load zone C of National Grid's network. But the anchor tenant, the one using the most of our electricity through these credits, is the Guthrie Hospital. And we're very close, matter of days before closing out a contract with them to provide them with 10% electric savings on their National Grid account. So we're really excited about both those off-takers. The hospital is awesome. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for connecting us with the hospital some months ago. But we just think that's a fantastic story to tell. Both of low-income individuals, we're helping them with the rising cost of electricity every month. And that's a real cost for them, and many conversations we've had with them. But the hospital too, obviously a community-oriented entity who's going to save money. So.
Brendan, do you have anything to add to this project?
I'll just add a brief rationale here to provide everybody with it. SB Cortland 1 proposes a $7.6 million megawatt solar photovoltaic system to establish, like Tori mentioned, a community solar facility in the city of Cortland. This project encompasses developing and constructing nearly 7,000 photovoltaic panels on a single-axis trackers and related infrastructure to support the system. It will be located, as mentioned, at 136 South Pendleton Street in the city of Cortland, spanning a 13.6 acre portion of an 18.57 acre parcel. The good part of this is this parcel is a registered Superfund site and is registered under the US EPA Superfund program. So this project will generate income for the city of Cortland in an otherwise non-usable parcel. You have the mayor, I don't know if you want to say anything.
Yeah, so we're obviously in support of this, and we have little details we want to work out with our lease, but we're in good shape on the rest of it, and good partner to look at doing a charging station for the school district as part of the negotiated deal, as well as discount rates for other municipalities within city limits. So, so I think it's win-win to, again, just your project before, unusable land that was really not any kind of use at all, to generate revenues for everybody.
Thank you, Scott.
I went through the questions that you're asking for.
Go ahead, Karen,
So,
you're up.
As you see from the cost benefit analysis in your packet, Brendan mentioned they're going to be investing $7,605,300. The exemptions that they're looking to receive through our pilot program would be a sales tax exemption and also a real property tax exemption. In this instance, real property tax exemption, we proposed that they would make a $3,000 per megawatt payment, and we round that up to 3 megawatts, 2.8. You're aware of that?
Okay.
I call it 3 megawatts.
Sounds better.
So we'll be charged 3 megawatts. So now we're looking to get 3,000 per megawatt with a 1.5% escalator, and this is over 25 years. Also, as has been mentioned, this was the land, the underlying land we never have as part of our pilot, as you're aware from our historical pilots to date. This land before, though, did not pay taxes because it was municipal land. They're exempt from paying taxes. Now that it will be a solar array, they will be paying taxes. So in working with the assessor for the city, he values that land now at $10,000 per acre, so it will go on the tax roll. Portion of the parcel that they are using will go on the tax rolls, and it will have a real property tax payment outside of our pilot. And that number is referenced in your analysis. That would be $233,419. So combined between the megawatt payment as well as the new increase on the line, you're looking at a value of $503,186 tax dollars. I also pointed out in my analysis, though I know you're used to seeing a new fire tax, district tax as well, but there is not a fire district tax in the city of Cortland, so we're subject to that. And also, sometimes you normally see that we have a host community agreement, and talking to the city, we made the megawatt payment higher, and with an escalator as close as we could get to that new assessment model for the value, and in agreement with the company. But we're not doing a host community agreement because the city's portion, host community, which is the city, their tax rate is equal to or greater than some of the other taxing jurisdictions. We usually hope that host community agreement to level the playing field, so to speak, because normally the town's rate is so much smaller than the county and school districts is to be more fair. So in this instance, we did not do that, and also I spoke with the mayor while we were making those negotiations to make sure the city was in agreement with that, and he was on board with that. So instead, we put it into the megawatt payment, so the megawatt payment of $3,000 plus a 1.5 escalator through 25 years. So that, in a nutshell, is the benefits that the company is coming in for, very, very minimal in return for what they're proposing. In our opinion, that's rather nice.
Any questions for Karen? John, you want to talk about the environmental portion of this?
I will, thank you. So this project underwent what you all know as a coordinated review under seeker. The city conducted the coordinated review. Unfortunately, for reasons that I think would be explained as just an error or an oversight, this agency was not included in that coordinated review, which means that you need to make your own determination. You're not dragged along, if you will, with the city's determination. The city did determine that this project could move forward, issued what we call a negative declaration. It would not have a significant impact on the environment. That could not be mitigated. But you're not bound by that decision, so the proper thing to do is for you to make your own determination. And so that's your first order of business, is to make a seeker determination. This is a type 1 project under seeker. There's an argument it could be a type 2, actually, which is interesting, which means it's exempt. But even though this was a former landfill, my understanding is it wasn't a regulated landfill, I gather, and wasn't closed under the terms of the state regulations. So for that reason, we're just being safe and treating it as a type 1. And that's why you have a long form EAF, part 1 and part 2 to review. I have taken the liberty of pre-completing, Mr. Chairman, as you saw, the part 2. As always, those are suggestions only, and the board does need to adopt those as its own. Keeping in mind, the city's already done this, determined and issued a negative declaration. It's not a heavy lift for us or for you. If any questions, I'd be happy to.
Well, I looked through it, and I thought, I agree with the city's estimation on that. Nice to be able to put that chunk of land to some use that couldn't really be used much before. So, with that, unless there are any questions for John on the environmental aspect, or we'll have this in your packet.
Does anybody have any questions about part 2 and how that was completed? Any questions or concerns about that before you move forward? Thank you.
All right. Thanks, John. With that, I would make a motion to approve a resolution determining that an action by SV Cortland 1 LLC to construct a 2.8 megawatt AC community solar facility will not have a significant adverse environmental impact. We need a second on that, please. Motion made and seconded. On the roll call vote. Myself, yes. Steve Compagni, absent. Clint Brooks.
Yes.
Deb Hayden. Joanna Haynes, absent. Kathleen Burke.
Yes.
And Don Richards. Yes. Thank you. Approved. So that would bring us to motion. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution taking preliminary official action toward the acquisition, construction, installation, and leasing of a certain commercial project for SV Cortland 1 LLC. On the roll call vote. Oh, I need a second. Myself voting yes. Steve Compagni, absent. Clint Brooks.
Yes.
Deb Hayden, absent. Joanna Haynes, absent. Kathleen Burke.
Yes.
And Don Richards. Motion carried. All right. Thank you, Tori. Any other questions while we got him standing? So, Tori, I'll confirm the public hearing with you.
Look forward to it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members, appreciate it. John, thank you for all your help. Karen, thank you so much. Mr. Mayor, thanks for hanging in with this whole process. So look forward to the next step. Thank you.
And that'll bring us to our monthly financial report.
Yes,
Karen.
short and sweet. There's very minimal activity. Most activity was the we just had 2 routine insurance, operating expenses and mowing Cleveland Street property. Everything is as it should be. There's nothing new that we aren't aware of for the IDA. All I have for that, unless there's some questions on any year-to-date balances or as it should be.
Questions for Karen? If not, I'll make a motion to adjourn the IDA and we will open BDC. Motion.
Excuse me. Can I ask a question?
Right to me, accurate. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Made and seconded. Any discussion, additions, or deletions to BDC? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Carried. So the revolving loan fund committee and the governance committee met last week to discuss our program, our revolving loan program, and what we could do to modify it to be able to address the needs of not-for-profits. And there was a fair amount of discussion. It was very productive. There were suggestions that the staff put together for us, and we didn't throw them all out, but we did make some changes there, and everybody would have gotten that, correct?
Yeah, we handed it out, so it's good.
Yeah.
And you want me to review some of this?
So, yeah, please do.
So we looked around the state and collected the different revolving loan fund terms and tried to put it together and determine, while we were looking at it for nonprofits, why don't we look at all the terms and see if there's anything that could be updated or changed, since it hasn't been looked at in, I don't know, 20+ years. So we made a couple suggestions, as Mike said, and then from our meeting, we kind of pared down what we had suggested to what you're looking at today. And I'll highlight the primary changes on the document so you can find them pretty easily. The first change is that's an easy one for eligible borrowers. We included the last little statement of nonprofit organizations. So that would include those nonprofits that might be interested. And the other one is at the bottom of page 1 going into page 2. In this states, put a little, another statement saying special consideration will be given by the board of directors to those projects which will address a specific and identified community need. Those projects will be considered on a case-by-case basis by the board of directors of the corporation. So that it's clear that if we're approached by an entity seeking a loan, the discretion is on the board of directors to decide if that fits what we're looking for support for a loan. Next, I'll call your attention to the loan size area. We keep the first statement the same. The maximum allowable is 100,000. The minimum is at 10,000. However, we added another little clause saying the total loan portfolio shall not exceed an allocation of 25% to nonprofit. So that would mean that our portfolio would have a mix of 75% for for-profit businesses and 25% for nonprofit businesses. Last but not least, we edited the interest rate block there as well. And for as long as we've had it, it was at 6%, was just the rate across the board. We modified this a little bit to say that we will look at 75% of Wall Street prime at the time of board approval. When the board approves it on that date, that's when the rate is set, and that will be at 75% of prime. With a minimum, we will not go below 6%. So if prime is at 5%, we're still going to be at 6%. But if prime's at 9%, we will go 75% of that. And then interest rates, those determined interest rates are held for 60 days from board approval of the loan application. So any loans that do not close within that 60-day time frame are subject to rate change. So then you go back and look at what the rates are and make edits based on that. Those were the primary changes that we're looking at. I don't know, Mike, discussion?
Well, yeah, if there are questions on what we came up with, be a good time to ask them. You know, we trying to help this on River Street there. Housing assistance, yeah. We're trying to help them get this project off the ground for senior living space, and so we had to, it's what brought us to reviewing our revolving loan program to be able to do that. But at the same time, we wanted to put some sideboards, so to speak, up around it so that there's always going to be plenty of money for the entrepreneur, the private enterprise, which this organization was made for in the first place. So, but now we're putting all our heads together. We came up with what I think is a pretty good solution. So thank you to the staff for the work you did on that.
Plus, Mike, the way we discussed the fact that we already have some skin in the game with investing monies already.
We do, yep.
So that made it even more favorable to look at, make the change.
Yep.
You have a disclosure, Karen, on the application in regards to the 60-day between break?
We will, we
Okay.
haven't, yeah, once we.
Well, that's what you, that's
Yes,
what we understand.
yeah, I'll have to work with John to changes to our application.
Right.
Make sure that that's, known.
Fall under the same rules we do.
It's a good rate change, it's very common for what other agencies do, but at the same time, I like the fact that we're locking it in at approval because then
They can budget.
Right, we toyed with, making it at closing, but then it's really difficult.
It's better to be
Amortization's
on,
good, but
right, it's better to be
change.
on the front end, it's just that we just gotta make sure that we follow the time, and I'm sure John,
Right.
we have to follow and make sure that,
Right, at that time, most close right away, we don't have loans that linger, they usually are with us because we can close so much quicker than a bank.
okay,
And we just do in-house closings. I mean, once it's approved by the board of directors, John is very quick to get me documents, legal documents. We do a commitment letter that spells everything out
Right.
to the applicant. That gives all the terms of what you have approved at your meeting. And then once they sign that, and we also sign it, director. And then from there, John provides a contract for that specific loan. As soon as that's signed, I write a check. I transfer the funds and we write a check, so.
the length is usually,
It's usually within the next month, I think, within a month to, 2 at the most, I would say, but
When we close.
when we close.
Yeah.
because I could see a borrower asking for kind of like a rate lock extension.
Well, that's why we did it, I mean, we also didn't want to do it, let's say if rates go up, I mean, we're not going to play the game of the board approving something and then we're just sitting around waiting till the rate suits the applicant.
Right.
I think that may not sound fair, but we also don't want things lingering.
Well, it goes both ways. That's why it's good that you're locking it in.
Right, that's why, and it makes good, our understanding, not a good, makes do that all the time, after some time. So, we felt that was fair.
John, you got any comment on what we've done without asking you?
Well, actually, I got to review this before, and I'm sorry if I missed this when I reviewed it, but under ineligible activities, we've replaced religious with churches, I think. And I'm wondering, is that too specific? I mean, some folks wouldn't consider their place a church, I guess, right? Some religions,
Would not be a church, right?
Right.
Place of worship.
Good point, yeah.
or religious organizations. I don't know what I don't know what the intent was, but that just jumped out at me.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, anything else like that anybody might have picked up? In terms of the loan too, we didn't get into that. We really, it's worded a little different, but it's the same intent for that, how long. As you know, we always work with the applicant, we look at the collateral, try to base the duration of the loan based on the collateral, but also maybe to fit the needs of the business, for payment-wise. Sometimes if we feel comfortable, we may extend that a little longer than perhaps traditional bank loan and try to help this project along. Like a new business startup where they need that assistance. We didn't make changes, we just kind of described it differently. Really the same intent, so there's no concerns there at all, in my opinion. Any other little language matters?
So is
maybe
the
that
board's recommendation then to strike churches and change it to religious organizations?
I think religious and fraternal organizations.
So with that, unless there are any more questions for John, Karen, or Brendan, myself, I would make a motion to approve the remodeled, so to speak, reworked revolving loan fund program.
I'll second that, Mike.
Seconded, thank you. Any questions, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And I guess Karen, let's go into monthly financials.
BDC financials, everything really lines up very well with the budgeted, so no concern. nothing out of the ordinary, that has, you know, draw your attention to. Something I would like to draw your attention to, though, the good news is, if you look at the balance sheet, the NBT account, the ARPA account, what you see there for a balance at 2,430.93, that's the earnings that we made on the program. We were fortunate, we were able to county's money very account. So through these 2 years, we were actually able to use money that we did not use for any other type of benefit to the community as we were working in the future. And then you also notice under liabilities, we no longer have a deferred revenue for the ARPA program because, yay, on April, I think April 2nd, we funded or April 30th, that's why I didn't report to it. I kind of, but we reimbursed our final grant that was in place. So with that said too, I know we've been saying right along that we would share with you at every meeting we talked about the different projects that were reimbursed and were accepted into the program. But in your packet, you had the entire Excel spreadsheet that shows from start to finish everything that was approved by us, by our organization with the $600,000 from the county. And that this is a spreadsheet that we use through the office, you know, working as we work through this. We broke it into the 3 different grant programs. Recall we had the downtown business, which was a new startup in a location that had been vacant, so mainly like a downtown or adjacent to a downtown. So those businesses that applied were approved, are listed there. The facade improvement, that was the program that was strictly related to facade improvement to their property. And then lastly, small business expansion, and that could have been a host of things that could have fallen under that category. Something that would either bring in a new revenue stream or that business that could help them in times, say, another event such as COVID. It could also be something that they've been putting off but were not able to do that would better their environment, which would better traffic again into their business or just better their service, or actually buy some new equipment that would help them to be more profitable. That was our biggest, as you can see, I believe we have more in that program. Close to the facade. But what you're looking at here, you're looking at the grant requests, how much they invested, their equity in it, our return on investment. Came out very nice in both of those 2 programs, the facade and the small business expansion. And we dispersed it in the check number, validation. At the end of the day, we did spend $1.39 more than the county money. I tried my best, but it's like near impossible when you get to the end, exact dollar, because some of them didn't. I mean, we made the award, but some came in just under the award. So, you know, you had a few cents here and there. so we did come in with it $1.39, but that was the first use of our interest earnings.
So who owes us that? The city?
County.
Oh, good luck.
So yeah, so $1.40 from. We viewed it as, I mean, you know, we were talking about it, a lot of meetings. If you look at the names here too, and we would tell you, like, look, I did we had another spreadsheet that said what they did. It just be a very lengthy spreadsheet. If anybody ever wants to talk about them, we tried to talk about the highlights of certain projects, and Eric also wrote stories on all of them as we were dispersing them. They were picked up on social media and the newspaper at different times. I think it's a really good story. It was a lot of fun for us, even though it was a ton of work that came in at Odysseys. But no, it was really worth it. We were very, very hopeful that in some fashion, either it would be great to get some matching funds and see how our funds might be able to partner with something like this. And a lot of these companies, I know from my tenure here, Cortland County, the majority of these businesses that got money could not get money from any other grant. It's been very difficult. We worked with them very closely. Sometimes we paid their vendor directly because we knew they couldn't make that 75% payment. They had the 25%. We were also very careful to make sure that they were paying their monies as we paid ours, so there was no doubt that it would happen. So anyway, that's my story. I mean, if anybody has any questions as you digest this, feel free to give any call. We all know the story, so all of us can answer the question. And it's a fun one. It's a fun one to report to. So we want to put that out. And Brendan will be going into the county and definitely budget meeting. We also promised the county, you know, it's important that we took the lead and we just did this on our own from day one, or it would have taken even longer than it did. We had to be out the door because of the COVID funds within 2 years. We only got a slight extension. But we always promised that we'd give out all the little details, you know, like in its entirety rather than spoofing it along the way. Now you have it. So.
Thank you, Karen. Did we skip over the revolving loan fund?
Yes, and I did talk about, and then I talked about the revolving loan fund. That's going well too. I've been reporting, as you know, years around when I was in business, so the change and just wasn't able to continue. But, she has been in communication with me. She has every intent to pay, and she transitioned into a new job, which we have very about the street where she's running an equestrian program in trouble. That's just opened up that candidate market. So it's a really good opportunity for her as well. So I think it all worked out really well. She did bring in a payment in May, so she's back paying. The deal we have is
Is that new facility on Staker?
it is, yes. That
Well,
huge,
that's quite a place.
it's by a private, yes, it's a, I don't know much stuff, so I'm not gonna say it right, but it's very high end and, yeah, it's quite the place, and she's got the talent to go in there and train, help the folks that own the horses, care for the horses. She has veterinary aid skills, she's not a veterinarian, but it's really good for her, and that's a good investment as well.
Great.
So I'm very confident she's going to pay. Other than that, everybody else is very timely. I have made the offer to our two businesses, so you folks know, come and report to you and ask if it were to come up, but there's been a lot of impact to our homes that are on Main Street. Open full time, or have, you know, the sales are obviously way down. I've talked to them if they have any problems making their loan payments, talk to me that I would work with the board to get any kind of late fees waived. Both have indicated they aren't in need of that yet, but they'll let us know. Knowing that it could happen. Do it, but right now. And also our COVID loans, the other thing to point out is we finally went full circle with 2 of them. Indigo Housing and Restaurant, they paid their last payment in May for that COVID loan. Remember, that was the special loan program that we set up with a 2% interest rate to help both any business in the county. And every business that applied was approved. They all had valid applications. So those 2 are out of the way, and the bagel company, theirs had 5 more payments to go. And then, of course, Jordan's was COVID loan. You remember you bought hay for the horses during the COVID shutdown. She has more. Hers will be a little bit delayed because of not paying for a few months, but I think she'll be on a monthly. So overall, our portfolio is looking good. We're only down to 57,000 for our outstanding loans. We have a great deal in that account. See what comes in days forward.
Thank you, Karen. Any questions for Karen on any of this financial business? If not, then we will go to the director's report.
Provided most of you guys with, I don't think I got everybody that walked in this last week, but I have a write up that I can share with everybody. And, but for a little update on what, how, and what we're doing. Karen and I, just last week, made a trip out to the Northeast Transformer. It's growing by leaps and bounds. The amount of businesses going out their front road, and it's everywhere. They've hired up a lot. I think they've hired 40 people over since January.
Yeah, they're over 100 now, which, if you remember from, we had a pilot with that company that expired, that completed last year, and then they were up to 60 some odd employees, and now they're at 101.
101, yeah. So they're growing by leaps and bounds, and they can't keep up with their work order. So we're in talks with them about ways we can support them in the organization, ways that we can keep them growing at a good speed, while also making sure that they're meeting their demands and what they need. They have the space to grow there, so that's a good benefit that they have. So hopefully we can figure out something to work with them to help their growth going forward. One way that we're looking into helping them is that 2 weeks ago now, I think, we had a REDC CFA workshop here in this space that we hosted, fairly well attended. And one of the grants that we're looking at them with, as well as I wanted to share with all you, is the new small manufacturer grant, which to keep in mind for our small manufacturers, they have either somewhere between 5 and 99 employees, and they can receive anywhere, I think, from $50,000 to $100,000 in funding, depending on their employee size and what type of projects that you're doing. So keep that in mind as you talk to some businesses. We'll be putting that out to make sure that they know that it's out there. If you have people that are interested, or if you're interested as well, they are having another workshop on June 20th up at OCC. And this is a bigger program. We'll also have other state agencies there as well. So if you have a specific agency that you want to talk to about a specific project, or if you know somebody that's having issues with this organization or that within the state, share this information with them to make sure that they're going, or just send them our way and we'll make sure they're going in the right direction so they can have the ear of the state organization that they need to talk to get funding, get approved on whatever they need to have happen. I will be attending next week the Regional Economic Development Council's annual retreat at Clear Path for Veterans. It's all day session. We'll be going through thoroughly all the programs they have. Our guidebook for the next 4 years will be reviewed to see if any more updates need to happen. And then also some fun team building exercises, which should be interesting. So we'll see how that goes. The Cortland County Comprehensive Plan process, which we've been highly engaged with, is starting to wrap up. I know a couple of you have attended the different community sessions that they've had, collecting different information. We've been, as well as Bob from the chamber, actively participating in this and helping to put their plan together. They are going to be having a community summit on June 17th. It's an all-day thing, so if you can attend, it's going to be at the Center of the Arts. Feel free to attend and give it. There's different times for different subject material, but it'll be coming up pretty quickly next week. And definitely want as much community engagement as possible, because this can show where and how and when we can attract businesses to where the community wants them to go. So this is a good document that we'll be having to work with quite a bit going forward. The office has been approached, and we've sent out a number of different letters of support for our projects going on in the area. One is from our railroad. They're putting a significant investment to rehabilitate a number of different lines within our area, as well as in the northbound Adaga. So they're going to hopefully get a good chunk of funding to help rehab some of those lines and get them better up to speed. We did also help the Cortland Housing Assistance Council with a letter of support for their HCR funding application once again. So that'll go in line with the purchase of the property as well as all that. So they need to have that letter of support, so we make sure we have it submitted. And we also sent in a letter of support for private lending for renovations to 107 and 111 Main Street. Eric has been doing his due diligence with the city construction project communication going on. All of you are well aware of what's going on with that happening on the streets and trying to arrange where he's going to. He serves as a liaison and communications point for the city road construction, as well as partnered with the city parking committee on updates to the parking program, as that will be changing as they get closer to having the single parking once again. Follow along with our social medias, Constantly Rising, to make sure that you're up to date of where to go, when, to make sure you're not stuck behind a construction on the road. He's also working with the Cortland Cortica celebration. So that's going to be a new downtown celebration of Cortica, which is going to be on November 15th and 16th. Eric, do you want to give a quick overview of what's planning, what's
Sure.
doing?
Yeah, thank you. So, obviously, having a nationally recognized D3 championship football team in our community is something we want to capitalize on and try to take advantage of. We'll have several alumni coming back into Cortland, as this will be the first year that the game is back in Cortland. And so with those two pieces in mind, we got together, I sit on the Town Gown Steering Committee, which is a committee of folks from Cortland and the city of Portland, and obviously economic development business. And we started talking about all of this. In addition, we will also have a Main Street that is substantially completed as far as the renovations and reconstruction go. To bring all these pieces together, we thought this was a great year to bring folks back to Main Street. Again, capitalize on the national championship, really try to bring the community, the alumni, the college together downtown, support our businesses, and try to create some economic activity for folks to benefit from. For that weekend, we will be shutting Main Street down from the just north of the intersection of West Court Street to Tompkins and Fort Watson Street. We're going to be incorporating some family activities, probably some inflatables, things like that. The city has recently purchased a inflatable screen, so we'll be having a viewing party on Saturday. Looking at putting a tent in the Marketplace Mall parking lot for beer sales and some music, things like that. CDC will be open that day as well, and obviously our regular local establishments will be open. So we are trying to put a positive face on Cortica. I know there's some folks in this community that still are a little tender, if you will, from some of the things that haven't gone well in the past. We're working with city police and the other safety agencies. They are embracing this concept because we want to get folks out of the neighborhoods as well, bring them down to a more focal, organized, contained location. And again, really give our alumni who are coming back to town something to do. If they don't have tickets to the game, or if the bars and restaurants are getting too busy, we want to be able to give them a relief. As of right now, most of the hotels are already sold out and booked. So we know that we are going to have people in town that weekend. What we don't know is what the weather's going to be like. So if anybody has any control over that, I'd like to get my request in now. We will have tent heaters though in the large tents. So we're hoping to get the football team, the SUNY dance team, and some of our local dance studios down to Main Street on Friday night. Rally that event, and again, encourage folks to either go out to eat or spend some time in our truly refreshed downtown. That's the short of it.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, more to come on that all along, and please love that pronunciation more. I'm still we're working the Small Business Development Center to help schedule counseling sessions. There's been a little uptick with the SBA lending going on. We've had a couple of different sessions with them. We're still working with SPDC as well as some of our members to find what terms and negotiating what we're looking at with them. So more to come over the next month. Contract date. The site inventory RFQ, I'm still working on refining a couple of the details as I got some good input at the BDC conference in Cooperstown 2 weeks ago. So we should have, I want to get that out to get some good responses to get the process started. And throughout that whole conference, pretty much every session is saying that everything needs to do the process of defining what sites you have and what you don't have, obstacles, development you have. So further back up that what I've known and seen definitely needs to happen. We also discussed at our previous meeting a update or just a heads up about upcoming pilots or any sort of programs that we have. And so you'll see this every month that will provide a little bit of a teaser, if you will, about what might be coming, what might be on the horizon, so it's on your radar. As of this point, we are in talks with a couple, but nothing that's come anywhere close to needing application or anywhere near being presented. So, nothing to share at this point, but as we get closer, we have something to share.
Great. Thank you, Brendan. Any questions for Brendan? Appreciate this report. forward to that every month. I think that's a good thing, so. With that, if there are no other questions, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? We are adjourned. Thank you.
We have some lunch back there, feel free to grab something, hopefully, we can wait for the Micron presentation. We should have people starting to wrap around 1:30, and just after that, we'll have a presentation from Center State CEO and Micron.
That's at 1:30, you said?
Yeah.